And we're at Ziva Theater with Mr. Randy Brecker. Randy, welcome back to Rochester.
Well, it's always great to be here. And it's been 2 or 3 years, I think. 3 years maybe. It's the last time.
And then the last time Ada came, your daughter wasn't here yet. She was on her way, literally.
Well, I mean, I've been here since she's been born, but she'll turn 11 in November, and she's singing. She might even sing a tune with us tonight, our new record she sings on. So it's we're really thrilled to be here and present this new music.
Speaking with Randy Brecker on Jazz 90.1. Randy, this year we're celebrating the centennial of Art Blakey. Talk about his legacy and how you ended up in the band and your time with him.
Well, Woody Shaw was kind enough to recommend to me. This is about 1968. Horace Silver had broken up his band, so I came back to New York without a gig, and Art was looking for a trumpet player. That's how I got the gig. Luckily, I knew the music because he wasn't recording much. It wasn't a great time for him, I must say, but we played quite a bit at Slugs in New York, the infamous Slugs, traveled up and down the East Coast, and I stayed with the band, 8 or 9 months, with Carlos Garnett on tenor saxophone. He was the only other regular guy. Joanne Burkeen did some gigs, different bass players, but it was a thrill. He was, he was a school in himself. He schooled all the great trumpet players. It was just fascinating.
Speaking with Randy Brecker here at Jazz 90.1. So, Randy, in that time you had Dreams, that band, of course, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. How'd you get into Blood, Sweat, and Tears? How did that come about for you?
Well, that was a kind of funny story. They had a band put together, but one of the guys was a high school teacher, and he decided he didn't want to leave and go on the road. So the other trumpet player, Jerry Weiss, had heard me play. He was going to Juilliard at the time, had heard me play in a big band, and he recommended me, and next thing I know, I got on the band.
And for Dreams, how did that come about?
That came about through a little later in that same year that I was playing with Art, Horace having broken up the band. Billy Cobham came to town. We played in Horace's band together, and my brother had moved to town and met a trombone player named Barry Rogers, who in turn had met a pair of singer-songwriters, Jeff Kent and Doug Lubon, who were putting a band together of their songs, a band called Dreams, and they were looking for a trumpet player and a drummer. And Art wasn't really working that much and was sporadic. So I said, well, there's me and Billy. We just got off Horace's band, so we got the gig.
Nice. Yeah.
Through my brother, really.
And that was an amazing band. You, Billy Cobham, and your brother, Michael.
Here it is, 50 years later. I just got back from Ronnie Scott's, where I played with Billy for a week. We're touring. I don't know if we'll be around here, but we're touring in September and October for 2 months in the U.S. So it's a big thrill to be back kind of as a special guest with him. He's playing great still.
And then your new album with yourself and David Sanborn and the WDR Orchestra. What's that like? What was that like putting it together?
Well, it was a thrill. That's a great band. We just did a gig over there probably about 2 weeks ago in Hamburg with the big band, not with Dave. He couldn't make it, but it was 2,000 people, 3,000 people playing all these great charts. And they really know the music over there, so it was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about tonight's show and who's going to be in the band with you.
Well, we have my wife, Ada Rovati, on tenor and soprano saxophone. We're going to be doing some of her new material that we recorded recently on a record which will be titled Brecker Plays Rovati. My longtime friend and compatriot Dave Kukoski on piano and keyboards, a young bass player named Alex Claffey, who hails from Philadelphia. We met several months ago on a gig, and a great upright double bass and electric player. He's also on the record, as is Kukoski, and a newfound friend who I recorded with in a video with Chad Lefkowitz Brown. His name is Lionel Forrester Jr., also from Philadelphia, fantastic drummer, and we can't wait to play with him.
215 is in the house tonight.
And perhaps maybe little Stella Brecker, 10 years old, she might come up and sing a tune because she's on one of the tunes on the record. So that brings you up to date. That'll be out sometime in October.
Speaking with Randy Brecker here on Jazz 90.1. We were speaking with Patti LaBelle a couple of days ago, and I wanted to ask her about her experiences with the Philadelphia sound growing up with that city. How about for yourself, you and your brother in that time, just the late 50s and early 60s, all the music you heard, whether it's jazz, pop, everything in between. What was that like?
Well, it's just a potpourri of different styles of music. That's why my personality built up the way it did, and Mike's, being open to all different styles, which were all connected way more than people assume and think. But in Philly, there was everything from the Philadelphia Orchestra to American Bandstand, the birthplace of B3 organ trios. I did a lot of that when I was in high school, and it was a great R&B town, leading to Gamble and Huff and Philly International, Mother, Father, Sister, Brother. The original label, which a lot of the bebop guys helped start, was Cameo Parkway. And recently, until I investigated, I didn't realize everybody behind that label were jazz guys that I saw playing around town. I had no idea they had organized. They were the organizers behind Cameo Parkway, which was Chubby Checker and the Twist, and they started that whole thing. It was fascinating. American Bandstand had groups on all the time. Dick Clark had started in South Philly, where he gathered local talent. Frankie Avalon, who was a trumpet player, actually a really good trumpet player, who became known as an actor with on the beach, surfing movies. His real name was Frankie Avalon, a really good trumpet player. He appears as a 12-year-old on Jackie Gleason's show on The Honeymooners. He walks up as a he could really play the trumpet, but he became known as a singer. Another guy was Bobby Ritterelli, who became known as Bobby Rydell. South Philly, he became another singing star, movie actor. He was a good jazz drummer. So I was always just surprised to see how much jazz was really behind the scenes with everyone.
Speaking with Randy Brecker here on Jazz 90.1. Randy, again, thanks so much for the quality time, and let's talk and bring the band in.
Okay, yeah, I was up here with some releases, so I think everybody wants to maybe say a thing or two. Okay, thanks.